All right, do you want to know how to make $1,000 a week driving for Uber Eats? Watch to the very end and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on news tips and tricks for Uber Eats, Doordash, and Postmates. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to maximize your profits with Uber Eats. And if you follow these 5 things, I promise you that you are going to make more money and you are going to thank me for them, okay? So tip number 1 is planning. Okay, you don't have a boss here. There's no one to tell you what to do. So you have to think strategically and you have to plan your trips every day. So that includes scheduling, it includes breaks, it includes active delivery areas, etc., etc., etc. And I'm going to explain each and every one of those. But the first step is to take the time out, get a piece of paper, make a plan for your day. Okay? Drive for a week, think about what hotspots were active, etc., and actually plan your trips. And I promise you that if you just have a plan, if you start to think about the best way to go about driving, that's the first step. Even if it's a bad plan, just come up with a good plan for your specific area. Seattle may be different than Dallas. Dallas may be different than Miami. Like, every place has their own plan that it's going to take a little bit of thinking, a little bit of forethought on your part. But a little bit of forethought can go a very long way. Okay, tip number 2 is scheduling. I'm going to tell you my schedule and how I arrived at my schedule, and that can probably help you in how to come up with your own schedule. So take me, for example, someone who drives full-time. What would my ideal schedule be like? Okay, for starters, my off days are Mondays and Tuesdays. Why? Because the busiest days to drive for Uber Eats is on the weekends, Saturday and Sundays. And I like to give myself 2 days off a week, which makes sense. So I don't burn out, so I can have a good work-life balance. So I take Monday and Tuesday off. Now, I recommend that if you are going to be driving full-time, and if you want to make 1,000 hours a week, that you can take either Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday. Take one of those 4 days off because the weekends are the busiest time for Uber Eats drivers. So if you want to maximize your profits and you're really out to make the most money you can, then I recommend to schedule your off days in such a way that you have 2 weekday days off. Or better yet, if you really want to grind and you're really trying to make $1,000 a week, take 1 weekday off. Preferably Monday, because from my experience, at least in my locality, Mondays are the slowest days and Sundays are the busiest days. Okay, tip number 3 is your breaks and what I like to call dead zones. The busiest time to drive for Uber Eats is lunch and dinner time. And you know, it means that sometimes, and it depends on the day and it depends on your locality, but a lot of times breakfast tends to be slower than lunch, and there's a dead zone between lunch and dinner. So I like to schedule my breaks in between that, what I call dead zone, which begins like around 2 o'clock and goes on to around 5 o'clock. Those are 3 hours that if I log on, I'm not gonna have much to do. So instead of wasting that time actively trying to deliver for Uber Eats, I call it a dead zone period and I take a 3-hour break. I can go home, take a nap, watch television, do whatever I want to do between 2 and 5. Then I log on for my dinner shift. That's how I schedule for myself. But for your locality, I want you to drive for a week or 2. I want you to write down exactly what times were busiest and what times were slowest. And for those slowest times, I want you to give yourself a break. Just don't drive during those times. I know that sounds counterintuitive because you might think in order to make $1,000 a week that you need to grind nonstop. But work for the sake of work doesn't really make much sense. Or even if you get 1 or 2 deliveries in a 3-hour period, you've just wasted time. So try that method, see how it works for you, and leave a comment and let me know whether or not that actually helped you, because it helped me. Now for me, someone who drives full-time, I like to schedule myself beginning at 8 a.m. to around 2 p.m. when I take a 3-hour break, and then I drive a dinner shift. And I drive around 10 hours a day, which may be a little bit more than what you're comfortable with, but it's not very hard work because I watch movies during like slow times, I listen to music, so I'm actually kind of enjoying myself the entire day. So, and that's another tip, which isn't part of the 5. While you're driving, make sure you're doing something to de-stress and to entertain yourself while you're driving. Listen to your favorite podcast, listen to your favorite radio show, right? So I like to do all of those things while I drive. That keeps my spirits up, it keeps my morale up, and it helps me make more money. Okay, so tip number 4, it goes right along with taking notes about your breaks and dead zone, and that is finding the most active delivery areas in your location. How to do this? Well, drive for a week or 2. Don't give up if things are slow. What I want you to do is go to a spot where you know there's a lot of restaurants, where you yourself usually go out to eat, etc. Look on the Ubereats app itself and see what restaurants are in the application. So if you're going to order Ubereats for yourself, look and see what restaurants are there. Go post up by those areas. Park in the parking lot. You'll notice that you'll get more deliveries from certain restaurants than others. So then, when you drive the next day, you park near those hotspots. You sit by those hotspots. Even if the delivery takes you out of the hotspots, you drive back to the hotspot. Even sometimes ignoring other delivery requests, so that you stay in your hotspot and you can get order after order, and you can get stacked and batch deliveries, etc. That's the way to maximize your profit. That's the way to limit all the dead time driving back and forth. And that's the way to make $1,000 in 1 week. Give it a try. Some of these things require actual work on your part as far as research. So when you're actually driving, you're taking notes. You're going back to your notes. You're planning for your drive for the next day. I know it's not like this carefree thing, but you don't have a boss, you don't have a supervisor, you don't have a manager. You're your own boss. You're your own business, and that is the only way to maximize your profit and earn $1,000. Finally, this seems self-evident, but as I've made a video about the number 1 mistake that new Uber Eats drivers make, this is a biggie. And it has to do with acceptance. You may find yourself in a dead zone period or a slow period, and you get an offer for an order that's 20 minutes away. Well, you can reject that order. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be pulled away from your hotspot in order to drive 20 minutes to deliver an order. So strategic acceptance of your delivery opportunities is what's going to maximize your profit. All right, I want you to only accept those rides that is within a reasonable time frame, maybe 10 minutes away. Right? Find your hotspots. Never leave 10 or 15 minutes. Try to minimize the time between where you are and where you have to go to accept your next order. Because if you're in a hotspot and because you've driven for a reach and you've taken your notes and you know where the hotspots are, it would make more sense to be patient for another 5 minutes. Wait until your hotspot ping happens so you accept that offer and go to that restaurant. It saves gas money, it saves in time, it saves in stress, and you're more likely to be able to get multiple orders. So you can save yourself time and you can make more money if you just have a strategic acceptance of the Uber Eats offers. So those are 5 steps. Let me repeat those 5 steps. 1 is planning, 2 is scheduling, 3 is breaks/dead zone, 4 is your active delivery areas, and 5 is strategic acceptance. And if you do those 5 things, you're gonna see your profits increase. You're gonna suddenly, if you're working full time and you're working, 40 or 50 hours a week, you're gonna see that you're making $1,000 a week. You're gonna leave that comment and you're gonna say, thank you so much, Drive and Thrive. You've helped me a lot, tremendously. And when you do that, I will be especially grateful. And I want you to leave a comment below and say how much this video has helped you in your drive. So that's all I got for today. Try those things out. You're gonna make more money. And remember to drive and thrive.